All right. Hey everybody, this is Erika, one of the naturalists here at the Great Plains Nature Center. Today we are going to be talking about some baby turtles. If I can get this stand working. Look how cute they are. Okay. Hopefully that stays. Okay. So unfortunately, I don't have another computer set up right now, so if you have any comments or questions, I'll have to get back to you after I get off live. But today we're going to talk about 4 different baby turtles that we have here at the Nature Center. As you can see, one of them is pretty antsy right now. I'm going to put him in another little tank. Alright, so today we are going to talk about 4 different baby turtles, one of which is our Kansas state reptile. The Ornate Box Turtle. And that is these little guys right here. And we'll talk a little bit more about them and how we can tell how they are ornate box turtles. And then we're going to talk about 3 of our aquatic baby turtles we have here. One of which is the painted turtle. The red-eared slider. And then our spiny softshell turtle. Spiny softshell. Alright, so first we're going to start off with our ornate box turtle. So I'm going to move these little guys aside. Really hope this is working. This is my first time ever doing a live video. Okay. And with nature journaling, it's not really about the art. It's more about just getting your observations down so that the next time you go back and you think that you see one of these turtles out there, you can go back to your notes and kind of get a reference point on what you observed before. All right. So with these little ones, as you can see, one's a little bit bigger than the other. Look how cute and small they are. So technically, these little guys are not exactly babies per se, because once the turtle hatches out of that little egg, they're actually the size of like a quarter. But we can jot down some observations that we can see just by looking at these little guys. So they have these yellow dots or little stripes on the top of their shell. So with all ornate box turtles, that's one tell that you can notice on ornate box turtles is that they have yellow coloration on the top shell. And when they get bigger and they develop more, they'll develop even more yellow dots and stripes. So with these little ones, just make sure you can see. They have, bear with me, my drawings. The stripes down the middle, the little tail. And then if you look close, the way that you tell the age of a turtle is their little scoots on their shell. You see there's like these little ridges on their shell. So they grow a new scoot every year. So this little one is about 2 years old. Just gonna draw his little feeties. And turtles do have claws. They do hurt. Oh goodness. What a foot. Alright, so they have these kind of like little shapes on their bodies with their scoots. All right, and so each year they grow a new little ridge on top of those every year. Here his claws. All right, so that is a rendition of the top of his shell. And then since I don't have a yellow pen with me or a crayon or color pencil, I'm just gonna jot down that these little spots were yellow. Yellow color. And then with the little face, if you can see their face, he has this pointed part on the tip of his mouth, and that's what they use to actually eat their food. So their mouth is kind of pointed, like a little bird's beak. My little eyes. And if you're wondering what kind of food these babies eat, baby turtles, they're more of a carnivore at this point. So they need to eat a lot of protein in order to be able to grow and develop properly. So what we feed them is a mixture of meats and fish, and then a little bit of lettuces and berries. Some lettuce and berries. And then with the adults, they're more of a herbivore, so adults tend to eat more veggies, like plant-based foods. All right. And with ornate box turtles, the way that you can tell the gender of them is when they get fully developed, they have their eyes will turn a certain color, and their body size. So with ornate box turtles, males will have red eyes, cool red eyes. And are a bit smaller in size, where females they get brown eyes, but they are larger in size because they have to have room to have all their babies. So ornate box turtles, females can lay about 4 to 8 eggs. And their eggs are actually not as hard. They're not hard like a chicken egg that we're used to eating. They're actually really soft and kind of leather-like. And so once she lays her eggs in her little crevice, which by the way, female turtles like to look for certain areas to lay their eggs. They want to look for soft or sandy areas that they can use their back 2 legs to kind of dig a hole. And the hole is like about this size around it. And once she digs that hole with her back legs, she'll dump those eggs into the hole. And so those eggs, however they land, is how they will stay. So even if they're like on top of each other and they have to like lay a certain way or like be oval shaped instead of like a normal circle, that's okay. They'll still develop in there. But she'll cover that hole with that dirt. And so whenever you're out and you happen to come across a turtle nest, you'll notice that she leaves this like imprint from her the bottom of her shell in the dirt, but there will also be this little circle indentation in that area that you can tell that that's where those eggs are. Which if you ever find a turtle nest, please leave it alone. You don't want to mess with it, because if you alter the eggs in some way or fashion, they might not develop properly and they won't be able to hatch. All right, so now we can go on to talking about our red-eared slider. All right, so if none of you have ever seen a red-eared slider, these two look a lot alike. But the way you tell which one is a red-eared slider, obviously by those cool red ears. They're not really their ears, it's just a red coloration behind their eyes. So this is the red-eared slider, and the reason he got the slider name is because they have this cool little ability to lay on top of a log, and they just can slide down off that log whenever they get scared or want to cool off in the water. They have a smooth bottom shell that allows them to slide right off that log. So, red-eared slider. All right. All right, so the red-eared slider slides off logs. They have that red coloration right behind the eyes. They are almost completely aquatic turtles. So the first turtle that we talked about, the Ornate Box Turtle, was our terrestrial turtle, and they live their whole life on land. And the next three turtles that we're going to talk about are more aquatic, so they live majority of their life in water, but they also can come up on land. Majority aquatic. And these guys have actually webbed feet instead of those claw-like feet that the Ornate Box Turtle has. So if you look, you draw the little shell. Their back legs, let's look at them. Their back legs are a bit longer and a lot fatter than the front two. And if you notice, he's got a little chip in his shell. So I'm going to actually put that in my drawing. Alright, so these little tails, and then their back legs. Okay, that's my rendition of their webbed foot. And then the other one. Ooh, that is rough. Please excuse my webbed right foot. It's clearly not as good as the left one. And then their front legs, they also have those fat web, but they're not as wide. These look like little alien claws. Oh my gosh. Alright. Left one. Okay. And with his shell, it's a little bit different. He's got those yellow marks, but not, they're pretty thin compared to the Ornate Box Turtle ones. And he's got more green in his shell. So we're gonna put those yellow marks. It's got kind of base going in. All right, and then these guys. Loops and these big. So, since I have this blue color, I'm gonna, paper's all wet. These blue marks are gonna be those yellow marks, since I don't have a yellow. I have this fun color. And then it's kind of also like outlines the edges of his shell. I hope y'all can hear me. I've been told I have a soft voice, so if I need to speak up, I surely will. All right. So that's yellow, blue, yellow color. So that's outline. Now I'm gonna try and draw his face. What's this little guy look like? If you see, he's got those cool markings on his face all around his face. And then the red. And he's also got some little red on his top of his head. So I'm gonna mark that if I start getting my paper wet. So their heads kind of stick out like that. Almost looks like a snake face, but this is a turtle, I promise you guys. All right, and then those red color, again, my blue marker is red, pretend. And then he's got some red up top. Red color. And then I just found this green color. And he got these cool stripes all along his face. And one thing to note, because these two guys, their faces kind of look the same. If you didn't realize that the red-eared slider was the red-eared slider, you might think that these are the same because their faces both have those green kind of map stripe looking things on their bodies. But a big difference between them is, one, the color of the red-eared slider shell, and the red color behind the eyes. But also, the red-eared slider has more of a dome shape, like it's more rounded, versus in the bottom shell, more dome-like or round. And then with the painted turtle, his shell's more kind of flatter shell, flatter top shell, I should say. That was a bad rendition. Just disregard that picture. Okay, so with his shell, it's a pretty dull color, except on the edges of his shell, he's got those cool lighter brown tint to it. Look, he's like, where am I? So we're gonna try and draw his shell. Got kind of like the outline of the shell, I'm going to say is a light reddish brown. Okay, so we'll do this. My blue is gonna be the brownish red. And turtle shells aren't like exactly round. It's kind of like they have their own little starting points. They all just kind of connect together. And then in. Alright, and then he's got these big scoops going on. And so with him, he's got also some ridges going on. His his shell is pretty shiny actually compared to the rest of the turtles that I'm showing you today. Kind of got like a little smooth top going on. So I'm gonna write that down. Smooth and shiny top shell. Alright, and he's also got those webbed like feet on his back legs. If you can look closer. And he's got these yellow spots going on his legs. So I'm gonna write that down. Are they on both or just the back? So on the back, they're dots. On the front, the spots actually, the dots look like they're all combined, so it looks like a big line on his front leg there. Look, you can really see his claws now. Alright, so his front legs. Something went wrong there. Okay, so he's got these lines going all the way to his claws. So, yellow lines on front legs. All right, then let's look at his face here for a second. So he's got just those yellow stripes and then kind of a yellow to outline his little face and mouth. And then his under part, his little, I know, he's got these orangey peach color. So we'll draw the bottom here in a second. So the face. And the eyes are kind of not exactly in the front, but they're kind of at an angle so that he can kind of see that way and in front of him. So he's got these yellow. Is going to be those yellow lines. Yellow color. Okay, and then on the bottom of his shell, we saw that he's got this peachy color kind of on the bottom. So I'm gonna pick him up real quick. So on the bottom, it's a lot smaller than the top shell, so I'm going to draw that outer as that's the top, and then this little bottom. So this is basically what the bottom of his shell looks like. So the bottom shell is also known as the plastron. If you want to get technical terms. And the top shell is called the carapace. And so on the bottom of this painted turtle shell, he's got these cool kind of peachy colored on the bottom. And it looks kind of like a bunch of squiggles. So pretty much all of this is that peachy color. Wish I had a peach colored pen. So it looks like a weird little road map on the bottom of his shell here. Peachy color, peachy orange. Okay, so that's pretty much the colors and looks of the painted turtle and the red-eared slider. So now our last turtle that we're going to talk about today looks completely different than all the other turtles that we've talked about today, because he actually doesn't have a hard shell. And he is known as our spiny soft-shelled turtle, or other words, he looks like a little pancake. Look how flat he is. Oh my gosh. And he doesn't even look like, he's got a lot of different features than a normal, hard-shelled turtle. So that's what we're going to talk about here. Let me write down the name. Spiny soft-shelled. And if you've ever been out to the nature center before and you've been into our habitat hall, we actually have a adult-sized soft-shelled turtle in our aquarium living with the other fish. This guy just needs to get a little bit bigger before we can put him in with others. Shelled turtle. See him trying to swim. So spiny soft-shelled turtles, the female is actually twice as big as the male. So if you ever go out to our turtle pond and you see some soft-shelled turtles, those ladies are actually pretty big. So females, twice as big. Males, and they actually can live, they spend the majority of their time in the waters, and they have these certain linings. So they have a pharyngeal lining, cloacal lining. As well as their skin that allows them to breathe underwater. To breathe underwater. But they do have to come up for air at some point. So their necks are actually really long, and they have this pointy pig-like nose that lets them, they can just sit at the bottom of like the tank that he lives in and just stick his nose up out of the water for him to be able to breathe and get some airflow. But their normal habitats, like any of the other turtles that I've talked about today, the aquatic turtles, I should say, live in ponds, lakes, rivers, and these guys will actually hide at the bottom of those, like the bottom of the river, if the mud or sand is really soft, because they like to just burrow themselves underneath that sand and kind of just stick their heads out. Kind of good camouflage for them. Hide from those predators. So let's start drawing his face. So if he stops moving everywhere, look how long his neck is. Oh my goodness. All right, so if y'all are watching and nature journaling along, we're gonna start with his face this time instead of the shell. So he's got this pointy nose, really long neck. Draw his long neck. And their eyes actually sit up on their face instead of like lay there. That's his eye. His snout. He's kind of got some spots and lines on his face. So I'm gonna do that. Alright, so has spots and lines on the neck and face. Alright, in the top of his shell, just a flat pancake. And this one actually does look more of a circle, oval, with those smooth edges on around, versus the hard shell, they have, you know, those ridges around their shell. So he's got some spots going on. Looks like a cookie. Flat. Spotted. And his shell is actually kind of an extra lining around it. All right. Now it does look like a cookie for sure. But it is not. It is his shell. That is what it looks like. And then, so his little leggies. Oh, forgot his little tail. And one big way to tell the difference between a male and a female aquatic turtle is just to look at the size of their tails. So male aquatic turtles, their tails will be a lot thicker and longer, versus the female's tail will be a lot thinner and shorter in general. And then his feeties. So his feet are really webbed and spotted. Oh, that looks cool. So his feet. And he's got these little nails at the end of his claws as well. He's an active little one. Claws, and then he's got these little road map lines and dots. And then the front ones do the same thing. So that is what this guy looks like. And if I didn't mention before, since it is baby animal week, with turtles, they actually are born knowing everything that they already need to know. So once the mother lays her eggs, she kind of lingers around just to watch her nest, but eventually she'll go on her own way, and the babies, once they hatch, they're pretty much on their own. And so if you ever find a baby turtle out in the wild, you should just leave it alone, because it doesn't really need our help. It already knows what he needs to do to survive and be able to find some food and get away from those predators. So just let it be. But let's finish the softshell turtle. So he's got these little dots and lines on all four limbs. All right. So that is pretty much all I have to say about our baby turtles that we have. I hope once we get to reopen that everybody wants to come see all of our baby turtles just as much as I love coming to see them. But yeah, we will hopefully open sometime soon to the public, but for right now we are still closed. And if you liked our nature journaling today, feel free to comment below if you have any questions, and if you like learning about all of these cool things that we have to talk about, check out our YouTube channel and our Facebook page, and also our website, gpnc.org.